Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this information session on the WeCU program. My name is Erin Budesheim. I'm the program coordinator for the WeCU program, and I am accompanied by two of our other colleagues, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gabby Drong. I'm the Community Partner Liaison for WeCU.
And hello everyone, I'm Shubhika Agarwal and I'm the Humanities Student Support for WeCU.
We're going to get you just a little bit introduced to our program. We'll start off with a short video and then get into kind of the basics of our program. Okay, so once again, welcome. We're so happy with the level of excitement and interest in this program. You're all here, and then many other students will be watching this recorded session. So we're really excited about getting as many of you involved as we possibly can. We're going to start off today by going through some of the basics of the program, give you an idea of what the expectations are, what you can expect from us, that sort of thing. We'll end with time for questions. So if throughout the presentation you have questions that come up, go ahead and throw them in the chat, and then we will answer questions once we've gone through the whole presentation. So some of your questions may be answered, some of them may still be lingering, but go ahead and throw them in there when you have them. So let's go ahead and start with some of our core values of the program. Actually, let's introduce our team really quickly. So our two co-directors are Emily Stone and Katie Shumway. So they're the masterminds behind this program. And the three of us have introduced ourselves. I'm Erin, program coordinator. Gabby is our community partner liaison. Shubhika is our humanities student support. And then Carla is the LAS student coordinator. So she works with a lot of the LAS courses to engage in service learning. The core values of the WeCU program all kind of fall under these three main points. Impact, that WeCU scholars are actively engaged in meeting community needs. Experience, scholars gain valuable hands-on experience that builds their skill sets and resumes. And then community, and this I think is really the big core value, that you are connected with other like-minded students, all of you here. You're supported by a strong community, both us and our community partners and each other, and you're inspired by your peers. You're all going to be doing really impressive and cool things, and we hope that you're inspiring each other as well. So what does engaging in this program mean? What does it look like? This program allows you an opportunity to serve your surrounding community. So this Champaign-Urbana or your home community. So you can be doing service not only in our community here, but also in your home community. We're going to recognize service for both of those things. We are doing remote service opportunities from any part of the world. Given the reality of COVID-19, we're still going to be doing service for the most part remotely. And we'll talk about a little bit what that looks like. Working to develop a sense of comfort and virtual collaboration. You may be able to lead a project team. You'll be developing new skills. We're offering a lot of trainings as the team, but also your peers may offer trainings as well. You're going to be recording your service hours in our GivePulse platform, and we'll go through all of that later as well, in the hopes of getting recognition upon completing 20 hours or more of service throughout the semester. And then you're also getting professional experience in addition to your resume. You'll be able to put this on your resume and show future employers or graduate programs or wherever you end up next that you engaged in a community service program. Let's go through some of the basics. There are 4 main components to the WeCU program. As I mentioned, there's this 20-hour service recognition program. So our expectation or our hope for you all is that you'll engage in 20 hours of service over the course of 10 weeks during this semester. There is project matching. So we have cultivated projects with our community partner all throughout the CU community to provide you opportunities to engage with those communities and organizations. And so we provide that matching kind of service for you all. There's a mini grants program. So the idea of that is to offset some of the costs that you may incur based on what your project entails. And we'll talk about that more a little later. And then there's also going to be trainings and reflection. So you're going to build skills. You'll get training of how to be a volunteer, how to be a team leader if you take on that role. And also reflection, making this service meaningful, making it valuable to you, and thinking about why you're engaging in it and what impact it has. So what hours count as service? These are volunteer hours. This is a volunteer program, which means it is unpaid work spent working on projects that address a social issue or a community need. So that's the big thing to remember, as this is about community engagement. So all of your volunteer hours should be directed towards that. Some different types of engagement may be service. So this is kind of the more traditional idea of community engagement. So engaging with organizations that you're already involved in. Some of you may be in RSOs or Greek life that have projects or have opportunities, volunteer opportunities that are required of you or are made available to you. You can count those hours here. It's still service that you're doing. Projects that you develop yourself. If there's a project that you're interested in, that you want to engage in, you can develop that. We can provide some support in that way, and you can count those hours as well. Opportunities through other various volunteer resources like the volunteer office that are provided by the university. We will publicize a lot of events on GivePulse. Again, we'll talk about that platform in a little bit. And these are these projects that we've cultivated with community partners in the area. And then some of you may be in service learning courses, and we also are engaging in service with community partners as part of those service learning courses. You can count hours spent doing research that address some sort of social issue or community need. If you're engaging in undergraduate or graduate research that addresses issues that are pertinent to our mission, those hours can be counted. Engagement in advocacy, so promoting human rights or community welfare, a nonpartisan voter drive, things like that. And then unpaid internships can also count towards these hours. Again, has to be unpaid, so it's really volunteer work, and it should be for a nonprofit or public agency that addresses social issues and community needs. So for example, over the summer, a student in the School of Social Work taught 37 WeCU volunteers how to sew masks for the community. Kim herself sewed 400 masks, and she not only taught our students, but kind of led and spearheaded that project for our volunteers. She partnered with Carl and Krannert Center for Performing Arts to donate those masks to Family Advocacy, Urbana Neighborhood Connections, and Crisis Nursery, and directly to low-income families in the CU community. So this would be an example of not only a project that volunteers engage in, but also developing your own project in this way. Another example, we had a lot of students volunteer through Circle of Friends to create a range of programs for isolated seniors and their caregivers. Our WeCU scholars made activity packets and created exercise videos for these caregivers and seniors. And then we had students writing letters to adults living in nursing homes as part of a project of Letters Against Isolation. And we heard from a lot of students that it was really a rewarding experience, that they never thought writing letters could feel like such a giving service to others, and had a really phenomenal time doing that. So you can also be supporting local businesses. So as we know, like during this pandemic, local businesses are suffering. And so we had volunteers worked with the Champaign Center partnership to develop surveys for businesses. Also students who worked with Urbana Business Association to create business listings, translate materials into Spanish, and design a new website. So helping our local businesses thrive even despite the pandemic. So what doesn't count as engagement? As we said, all work has to be unpaid. So any paid work or internships, even if that work is for a nonprofit, does not count as service. Any court mandated community service does not count. Religious or partisan political activity or instruction does not count, as we are a public institution. And then tutoring, babysitting for siblings, friends, that sort of thing, isn't really community focused. And so that would also not count as engagement and service hours. So how do you find a service opportunity? There are a few different ways that you will find these opportunities. And we mentioned a few of them earlier. One is GivePulse, this platform that we keep talking about, and I promise we will introduce to you very soon. But essentially, it will have listings of service opportunities that you can volunteer for that are with our community partners. This is also the platform where you'll be tracking your service hours. Other organizations or groups, so as I mentioned, Greek Life, RSOs, honor societies, that sort of thing, where you're already going to be engaging in service, just track those hours with us as well. Those absolutely count. You're still engaging and participating in service. When we provide trainings or promote trainings that are being offered elsewhere on campus, those count for hours too. As long as you're building skills as a volunteer and they've been approved by the WeCU team. So any trainings that we offer are clearly going to be approved, but you're building skills as a volunteer, those will count for WeCU hours as well. And then these self-identified opportunities. So let's say in your home community, you have a local library that needs activity packets made for kids to do virtually. And you're really passionate about this library at home, and it's not an opportunity that we've put on our GivePulse because we don't know about it. You can let us know, and we'll talk about how you'll do that. And you can count those hours as well. Doesn't necessarily have to be something directly in our community, and doesn't necessarily have to be something that's cultivated by our team. We encourage you to find opportunities of your own as well.
So Erin gave us some really good information, and I'm just going to elaborate more on those 4 ways that she talked about finding service opportunities. But first, I kind of wanted to show this infographic. I think it really demonstrates how the WeCU program is like this connector between U of I students and community partners. So this is where those GivePulse service opportunities come in. So we use this WeCU GivePulse page to search for those local opportunities, as she mentioned. And so what you do when you're on our platform is you can go through the opportunities and select ones that match your interests and your skills. And you can work in small teams, or you can work individually to complete your projects. And these projects and opportunities will be posted throughout the semester as community organizations express their needs. We've already matched opportunities with hundreds of students this past semester through our service learning courses. The next option are the other organizations and groups. So, participating in service opportunities through RSOs, honor societies, Greek Life, with, things such as organized philanthropy events, community cleanups. And you can also count these hours towards WeCU by tracking them in GivePulse. The next option is the WeCU trainings. So these are hours spent participating in WeCU-led or promoted trainings, and that can be counted towards your service learning hours. So the trainings can cover topics that provide, that are about providing meaningful service, program evaluation, survey design, really anything that helps you learn a new skill. And students are required to participate in our WeCU virtual volunteering training in week 1 to learn more about how to make the most of our WeCU experience. And so most of you, if you decide to become a part of WeCU, will take that training, and that will count towards your hours. The last option is our self-identified opportunities. So you can identify opportunities with organizations in your home community. Like Erin said, we don't really know about what else is going on or what other organizations outside of CU need help. So if you find an organization back home that needs volunteers, definitely let us know. These self-identified opportunities have to be approved by WeCU, and we'll provide a link to that in our weekly newsletter. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the WeCU resources we have available to support you during your service. So the first is mini grants, and Erin touched on this a little bit, but this program offsets your costs that are associated with your service project. So some examples of this are printing and mailing supplies and postage. Let's say you're writing letters to seniors, materials for projects that you're not going to keep, cloths for mask making, plastic for 3D printers, art supplies, etc. If you have training that will improve a volunteer skill set and it has a cost, we can offset that for you. And also dissemination costs of things like conferences and meeting fees. We have a lot of great examples of students who used our mini grants program last semester. There was a volunteer who used it to make care packages for healthcare workers through a group called Moms Making Masks and More for COVID. And also people who use it to buy stationery for letter writing for seniors. However, there are some things that are not eligible for mini grants. So mini grants do not cover student time. Like we mentioned, this is a volunteer opportunity, so you're not going to be paid for the work that you're doing. And also supplies that will become personal property. So you can't use the mini grants to buy something such as a printer or a computer. Another resource that's here to support you is our WeCU team. So WeCU scholars can reach out to their team leader, which I'll talk about in a second, or one of us, a WeCU team member, to reflect on any service that you've done so far, get support for your current project, seek new opportunities that are self-identified, apply for a mini grant, or ask us any questions about the program. You yourself can also provide support by deciding to be a team leader for your project. So when you select a project in GivePulse, you can choose to apply to be the team leader with the following responsibilities. So you'll be attending team leader trainings and support meetings. You'll create a communication system for the students who are working on your project, such as through Slack, GroupMe, Microsoft Teams, things like that. You'll email questions on behalf of the group to a WeCU team and or community partner. And you'll coordinate group meetings as needed through doodle polls. So our projects that are posted on GivePulse don't really have a huge number of students. You might have 3 or 4 students on your team who you're working with to complete a project. But being a team leader can be a really great thing to do to help out us and help out your community partner. This is a quote from Christian Riggs, one of our WeCU volunteers. And they said, "This semester I served as a team leader for my main volunteer project. And I believe that it helped me to learn a lot about managing a group and taking charge to get things done. Other members of the group looked up to me for guidance and decision-making, and I had to lead meetings and set goals for this project. I also felt a great deal of passion regarding our project because as a team leader, I felt responsible for the success of the project. In short, I am proud of my team and the valuable work we have done to better the Champaign-Urbana community." So we also have a WeCU evaluation. And we really appreciate your feedback to help us improve WeCU to best meet your needs and professional development. So we really ask for your support in helping us do this. Your participation in our evaluation is voluntary. It involves a 20-minute pre and post survey that are posted on GivePulse, so you'll see that survey when you sign up. And the consent form is visible upon that first login. Participants will receive a professionally designed summary of the results that you can share with your potential employers later on. And if you decide not to participate, you can just go straight to GivePulse to view our volunteer opportunities. So now that we've learned all about this program, I'm going to talk a little bit about what next steps you need to take to become a WeCU volunteer. So the program requirements are pretty straightforward. You need to participate in an information session, which you're doing right now. Then you'll join our GivePulse group between February 1st and the 26th, which we'll show you how to do in a moment. And then you have to complete and track at least 20 hours of service by May 14th on GivePulse if you wish to receive special recognition as a WeCU scholar. Any level of participation is encouraged, and students completing fewer than 20 hours are still welcome to join the program. And then finally, we ask that you submit a final reflection at the end of the semester to evaluate and improve our WeCU program. Now I'm going to hand it off to Shabika to talk a little bit about how to register on GivePulse.
Okay, hello everyone. So we've been hearing a lot about GivePulse. So let's get on to what it really is. So it's basically going to be serving as a platform where the WeCU team adds different projects that we have collaborated with different community partners in the Champaign-Urbana community. And you'll be getting a time between Feb 1st to the 26th of February to enroll in the platform and have a look at these opportunities and register for them. So you'll get an email on the 1st of Feb, which gives you the link to the WeCU group on GivePulse. So when you follow that link, you'll be able to create an account. So you can see that in the screenshot here. It'll be very similar to the university login that you do. So you are going to be selecting sign up with net ID and you do the two-factor authentication and remember to agree the terms of service and you will be creating an account with GivePulse. So now the different opportunities that will be available. So in GivePulse, these opportunities are listed as events. And when you go to the WeCU page on GivePulse, this is where you'll find the events. So when you click events, you'll be able to see the different opportunities listed. So now you can navigate through it. So as we had been talking about self-identified projects, which are any project in your home community or anything to do with your Greek life projects or any research project that you have identified on your own. So that could be a part of self-identified service projects. And so you click on the project to register for it. So this is one example. And one of this is an example of the projects that the WeCU team has added to GivePulse. So this is a project with the Central Illinois Neuropsychological Services. So if this is something that you're interested in, you would be selecting this. So now when you click on the project, you actually get a description. So the about portion is going to be talking about what the project is about, what are the requirements, what will you be doing? And if that is something that interests you, you can click on register. And you will be asked to reflect that you're a part of the WeCU group. So you'll be selecting browse groups. And when you type WeCU, you'll be able to find this. And this basically indicates that you're a part of WeCU. And again, you'll agree to the terms and conditions and continue. That is how you register for a self-identified project. And for other projects, as we had mentioned, that you'll have the opportunity to be a team leader. So there'll be a few questions that you'll have to answer just in case there are others on your team who also want to be a team leader. So the WeCU team will eventually go through the answers to these questions and we will decide who the team leader for the project is. And if there's just one person in your team who wants to be a team leader, then he or she becomes the team leader. And again, we agree to the terms and continue. So this is the screen that you get after your confirmation. And you can always cancel your registration for a project before it begins. So you have that option as well. If it's something that you're not interested in, or you realize you don't have the time for it, you can always cancel it just after registering as well. And how do you track your hours? So hours are tracked in terms of impacts on GivePulse, and we'll be getting into the details of this after you have registered for a project and everything after the 1st of February. And in the first week of February, we will be scheduling a volunteering training so that you can get into the details of this. So again, a brief of how do you begin with VCU if you plan to join us. So on Monday, the 1st of February, you'll be receiving an email with the Gift Pulse link to join VCU. And that email will also consist of the PDF of these slides and the recording for this info session. You will have the time between 1st of February to the 26th of February to register on Gift Pulse. And I mean, it's better to register earlier so that you have a lot more options of projects to select from. And if you're watching the recording of this session, you can find the Gift Pulse information on go.illinois.edu/WeCUInfo. So this is one of the quotes from one of our VCU volunteers in the summer, Eddie. He says, "My biggest takeaway from VCU is that there will always be a need for this type of volunteering to help those who are struggling. There will likewise always be caring individuals willing to provide those services. This reminds me of how fortunate I am to be a part of the Champaign-Urbana community and gives me hope." So this is again the team of VCU, and you can contact us on v-cu@illinois.edu with any of your questions. And we would like this semester to be a lot more interactive. So please be sure to join us and follow us on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So this will help us create an interactive group of VCU scholars. It's going to be a really exciting journey for you as you get to talk to each other through the course of your service. And you can also get more information on the past scholar stories and the upcoming service opportunities, the different trainings, and all the other events that VCU has to offer. Thank you so much. So let's get to questions.
Yeah, I see that we've gotten some questions already in the chat. And if questions now that we've gone through the whole presentation come up, go ahead and put them in there, and we'll do our best to address everything while we're here. To start, we had a question. I volunteered over the winter. Could those count for the spring semester? So yes, if you volunteered over the winter break, you can count those towards your spring hours. You would register for self-identified project if it was something that wasn't on the Give Pulse page. If you were a fall volunteer, that you would then register for a self-identified project, and you will be able to track those hours there. And that goes for students who were with us in the fall. If you continued working on projects over the winter break, you can continue to track those hours that you completed. I have a question. What's the purpose of tracking hours? What happens after you fulfill the 20 hours? So the purpose of tracking hours is so that we know if you've fulfilled 20 hours. Getting those 20 hours is how you get recognition in this program. So at the end of May, we have a recognition ceremony. You get the distinguished honor, and you can continue to participate in the WeCU program throughout your time here and continue to collect recognitions. The highest recognition is for people who come in as freshmen and complete 300 hours over the course of their 4 years. So that's the purpose of tracking those hours, and also helping us get a sense of how are we impacting our communities and how many hours are our volunteers putting towards their community. And then in your Education 201 class, we volunteer for 20 hours over the course of the semester. Do these hours count? Yes. So that class is one of our service learning courses that is partnered with WeCU. So there will be the opportunity to track those hours that you complete for that course in WeCU. So any of you who are in service learning courses, you can track those hours with WeCU and obtain, earn that recognition as well as completing your course requirement. Is WeCU open to all students? Yes, as long as you are an enrolled student at the University of Illinois, both graduate and undergraduate, you are eligible to be a part of the WeCU program. Non-UIUC students cannot be a part of the WeCU program, but GivePulse is actually a platform that connects people of anywhere and any student status with volunteer opportunities in your local area. They just wouldn't join through our program, but they're welcome to use the GivePulse platform in a different way. If you joined GivePulse last semester and were part of the program, you're still in the GivePulse platform, so there's no need to join again. And if you're completing a self-identified project, you still need to register for the event in GivePulse, or can you just record the hours? You would need to register for the self-identified project event in GivePulse. And what will accompany that is that you'll need to complete a survey that asks you, what is this project that you are proposing to do? And so we have to approve whether or not it meets our mission criteria. Okay, along the same lines, if you completed 20 hours in the fall, how would you know if you successfully completed the program for the semester? As long as you've tracked 20 hours for the fall, we have all of that information. So you've completed one semester successfully as long as you've tracked those 20 hours for the semester. And yes, along the same lines, if you complete 300 hours before you graduate but did not join the program as a freshman, can you still receive the recognition at graduation? I believe so, yes. And there's a question about what's an example of a research project that would qualify. So for example, over the summer, we had a student who was engaging in research about COVID-19 response at the university with students, how the transition was to online. And this was considered community engagement, and the summer program was actually specifically focused on COVID-19. So that counted as a research project that could count for WeCU hours. So if your research project that you're working on, you know, if you're a grad student, it could be the research that you're doing for your degree, or any other research project as an undergrad. If it is community focused and addresses a social need. So regardless, you would need to fill out the survey about a self-identified project, and that's how we would assess whether or not it fits our criteria. And you would register for the self-identified project event in GivePulse. So, but the major thing is, does it address a community need or social issue? If you volunteered during the fall, but we're not a student here, or we're not enrolled in WeCU, those hours do not carry over. So any service that was done during the winter break can carry over into the spring, but unfortunately, those completed in the fall will not. Can you participate in multiple projects? Short answer, yes. What we encourage you to do is to commit to one project at a time, to give other students the opportunity to register for projects, especially those that are cultivated with community partners and are on the GivePulse platform. We want to make sure that all of our students have the opportunity to be connected with community partners should they need to. But if you're someone who wants to do a self-identified project and a project that is on GivePulse with a community partner, that we would welcome. The main thing is make sure that you're able to meet the commitment that you make to your community partner. So some community partners have a certain number of hours they expect weekly or over the course of a month or something like that, or specific project expectations. And so make sure you're able to fully commit and meet those expectations of the community partner before you start taking on too many different projects. Where can we go to sign up for WeCU? You'll receive an email on February 1st that morning, which will have all the details about how to sign up for WeCU on the GivePulse platform. It'll have the link to this recorded session, the slides for this info session. So you'll have all the information you could possibly need, but specifically it'll have those instructions of how to get started. Are there any volunteer opportunities that can be done fully online? All of the projects that we have cultivated with our community partners will be done fully remotely. So we are still in a pandemic. We don't want to put anyone at risk. We don't want you all putting yourselves at risk. So yes, all projects will be done remotely. You yourself, if you come up with a self-identified project where you need to go engage in person. So one of those things might be like doing a blood drive. So donating blood actually can count towards your WeCU hours. Obviously, you have to do that in person. You can't do that virtually. So in that sense, you have to go in person. But err on the side of yes, everything is remote at this point. Is there any benefit to completing multiple semesters of WeCU? Well, that's kind of a tough question. So yes, because you're engaging in service for multiple semesters, you're accumulating those recognitions. So at the end of every spring semester, so at the end of May, we'll honor all of the students who met those 20 hours, but also if you say you participated in the summer where you have to complete 40 hours, and the fall and the summer and the spring, you're at a higher level of recognition because you've done 80 hours of service rather than just one semester. But also just the knowledge that you're serving your community for many, many hours. For international students, you're only allowed to work 20 hours a week. Does the volunteering hours affect work hours? It should not, because it's unpaid. So only paid work should be counted towards those 20 hours. All unpaid work, volunteering, should not impact that for international students. How long do GivePulse projects often last? I'm going to answer that question two ways. So one, each project will have a different number of students that it requires based on the community partner's needs. So in registering for those projects, as soon as that project fills, it's no longer available to other students. But in terms of how long did the project last, like amount of time or how much of the semester, that's completely dependent on the project itself. So some community partners will just have kind of a final outcome that they're looking for, a final product that they're looking for at the end of your 10 weeks with WeCU. Others will say, I need students to be available 2 to 5 hours every week. It's completely dependent on the community partner, and all of that is listed in the GivePulse event on the GivePulse platform. So all of that will be outlined. But yeah, some of them, it might be a pretty quick thing, and others it might be the whole semester. So it's really dependent on the community partner. I also got a question about a specific volunteering at a specific location at a Salvation Army, dependent upon what you did at the Salvation Army. If you were what the content of that volunteer work, it may or may not count towards WeCU hours. So you're welcome to send WeCU an email and check with that. I'll put that email in the chat again. Are there any other questions? Well, Gabby, Shavika, and I will stick around for a little while in case there are. But the rest of you are welcome to leave. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that we have convinced you to be a part of our program. And we hope to see you as part of our program in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
For Amy, would summer volunteering count as well? So summer volunteering would count towards summer hours. So if you enroll for WeCU in the summer, those hours would count towards summer recognition, but you can't roll over summer hours to spring. After doing a local community service, how do we verify to the WeCU team the hours done each time? So this will all come out in the volunteer training, but you will add impact hours where you'll say how many hours you did. If you're working with a specific organization, you'll note that. If this is a self-identified project that you were doing community service with, you'll be asked, what did you do during these hours? Like pretty plainly, just tell us, what did you do during these hours and as part of your service for the hours that you're tracking. So we're not going to go through and verify every organization that you work with for those self-identified hours. We're really functioning on the honor system that our students are tracking hours that they genuinely completed. Any other questions while we're here?